Hello everyone, Charles Watts here. Welcome back to Inside Arsenal. It's Saturday, it is the weekend, and it is match day, of course, Arsenal versus Everton, kicking off in just a few hours' time at the Emirates. I'll be heading up there very, very soon. First, got to go and watch the kids play football, and then once that's done, I will be making my way up there in the press box today. So if you're not going and you want live match updates, then get over to my social media during the game, and I'll be doing it on X and Blue Sky and sort of half-time and full-time updates on Facebook as well. So you can follow all the action there if you want. And yeah, massive game for Arsenal, no doubt. Another massive game, always are. Now I say it every single week. I know I sound like a broken record, but it is. You've got to win. Liverpool playing at the same time today, playing Fulham, who of course Arsenal drew with last week, playing them at Anfield, though, unfortunately not at Craven Cottage. So you'd expect it's going to be 3 more points for Arne Slot's league leaders. So Arsenal are going to need to keep pace with them. They're going to need to win this game and make sure that gap stays at 6 points. And hope maybe it goes down to 3 and Emil Smith-Rowe or Alex Iwobi can do Arsenal a favour at Anfield a little bit later on. So we're going to look at that game today. We're going to look at the latest team news, look at what Mikel Arteta has been saying, go through the predicted 11, look at what you guys have been saying as well. I should be doing a video after the game, sort of immediate post-match reaction on my player ratings video, so keep your eyes peeled for that after the game as well. Right, so the latest team news. Positive, fairly positive news, I suppose you would call it, from the presser yesterday. Mikel Arteta confirming that Gabriel is now back in training, or he trained yesterday. I don't think he's going to be starting, I have to say, but positive news anyway. If Gabriel is back in training, he says there is a possibility that one of them, obviously talking about Calafiori or Gabriel, will be available. He trained today, and we will see. He was then pressed on who that was, and he said it was Gabriel. On being cautious with Calafiori, who's obviously been out for a while now, he said, we're just respecting the times that the medical department has set, and then we'll just monitor his evolution every single day. We understand that he's not fully ready yet, but he's getting very close now. And if anyone else has been ruled out, he says no, apart from the ones that were already out. So in that you talk about Zinchenko, obviously, Ben White, Takahiro, Tomiyasu as well. So Gabriel, maybe. Calafiori, no one else back yet either. So interesting to see what Mikel does in his defence. We talked about it yesterday, didn't we? The fullback options that he has available to him. One of those is Miles Lewis-Skelly, who I'd like to see start again at left back after that performance he produced in the Champions League in midweek. And as I said yesterday, that would allow Jurrien Timber to continue at right back. Mikel was asked if Lewis-Skelly deserves another start. He said he certainly deserves to be in contention to be selected because he performed and competed very well at his age. To show maturity on the pitch is strange, and off the field is exactly the same. He is a person who continuously surprises all the staff with the kind of questions that keep us all asking. A lot of times that shows you the intelligence of the person, and Miles is a really bright boy. As I said in yesterday's, I think he'll do it. But I'm not entirely convinced because it's Mikel Arteta, so you never know. But I think he'll do it. Lewis-Skelly played so well in midweek. I don't think it matters that it's 2 games in the space of a few days as well. I think he'll still, he's not going to be, he only played about 65 minutes anyway against Monaco, so it's not like he's going to be too tired or too fatigued. And what it gives the overall balance of the team, it just feels like it is definitely the right call today. And then you can keep Timber on the right, or play Thomas Partey. I'd be playing Jurrien Timber. You can rest one of Partey or Timber, which is crucial, obviously, as well. So, yeah, I'd definitely be starting Lewis-Skelly. And the way he took to that game in the Champions League, there was no nerves. There was no... he didn't look like he felt any pressure. He did everything very, very confidently, trusted himself, trusted his ability, even when he was put under pressure. And that says a lot about how a young player is and the quality that they have. So I don't think he would be overawed at all by getting a Premier League start today. I think he would relish it. And it would certainly be the call that I would be making if I was Arsenal manager. Unfortunately, I'm not. Fortunately, I'm not, because Arsenal would be awful if I was manager. But you know what I mean. On the Rice, Odegaard and Merino midfield, which we saw for the first time against Monaco this season, following Merino's arrival in the summer and then all the injuries that followed since then. He says there have been recently a lot of new units, and certainly that was one that we had planned and discussed. And I think they can play so well together. They did a really good job. They will play again together for sure in the near future. I think they complement each other really well. He was then asked how the sort of 3 of them do complement each other when they play in that role. He said they are intelligent and have football brains. They are 3 players that like to play for others, especially. You have players that can hold the ball in tight spaces. They can run with the ball. They have threat in the box. You have creativity in tight spaces. You have a lot of things that you want in the defensive part as well. You have two players that are more holding midfielders, and Martin is exceptional in his timings and his aggression in the high press. So it's very good. It definitely looks like a very balanced midfield, I have to say there, because you've got two real sort of dual. In fact, you've got three dual winners there in three of them. They can all do it. Obviously, Martin likes to do it further up the pitch than the other two potentially, but you've got, so defensively they're very, very sound. You've got the legs of Rice, you've got the brain of Odegaard and Merino, you've got the sort of late attacking runs that Merino likes to make into the box to become a threat as well. Odegaard, we know, is a threat in and around the penalty area. It does look like a midfield that will work. Obviously, we're only just seeing the first sort of signs of it now, and it'll be interesting to see how much more we do see of this going forward, because it was always in my mind that this was the midfield that Arteta was going to go with in the majority of games this season, certainly in the big games, that this was one he had in his mind. We haven't actually seen if that's correct yet. But now we could potentially have the opportunity to see if that's correct. So it'll be very interesting, I think, to see what Arteta does over the next sort of 6 weeks, 2 months, and if this is the midfield that we start to see moving forward. Time will tell on that department. On Everton and the fact that they have had more time to prepare for this game than they have. Obviously, the Liverpool game was called off for Everton last weekend, so they've basically had about 10 days off just to prepare for this game. Arsenal in that time have had 3 fixtures. So you would think it's certainly been beneficial for Everton, and you would imagine they're going to come to Arsenal very, very well prepared for this game, because it's all they've had to focus on for 10 days. Mikel was asked about that in his press conference. He said, that's the context. We're so used to playing every 3 days. The boys trained today, really fired up and looking forward to the game, understanding that it's always a really tough opponent and we're going to have to be really good to beat them. I don't think it's going to make too much of a difference. As Mikel said, their Arsenal are so used to playing every 3 days. It's not like it's something new to them. So they're used to it. Even if another team's going to be a little bit fresher, we might start to see that a little bit in the second half, but that's when the substitutions become key. We saw it in midweek, how the substitutions changed the game when Arteta made them and the fresh players came on and they just immediately improved a team that looked like it was tiring. We might have to see that again today, but I just don't really see the fact that Everton have had so much more rest is going to be too beneficial to them over Arsenal's quality. This is, of course, the big sort of day where I think both clubs are going to remember Kevin Campbell. Just an absolute legend, a hero of mine, hero of both fans of both clubs, Arsenal and Everton. I think it's going to be pretty emotional down there today. There'll be some things to sort of mark Kevin's passing, and I imagine both sets of fans are going to be very, very keen to get his name sung out there. I think there's already a poster outside the Emirates with him in an Everton shirt, him in an Arsenal shirt. It's going to be flags up. So, I'm sure it's going to be a pretty emotional day for both clubs down there, remembering just an absolute hero and a legend for both clubs down there. Right, predicted 11 time. This is what I'm going for today. This is what I think Mikel might do. Obviously, there are question marks over it. Will he stick with Lewis Skelly? There are other options potentially. He could do what he did at Fulham and play Timber on the left and Thomas Partey on the right. I hope he doesn't do that, but we know Mikel does kind of like to do that, so it wouldn't be a shock if he were to do it. There's maybe a question mark in terms of who starts up front as well. So this is what I've gone for. I've gone with David Raya in goal. Obviously, I think he's going to stick with Timber at right back and play Saliba, Kivior, and Lewis Skelly. I don't think Gabriel comes in and starts this game, even if he's fit. I think Kivior's been playing pretty decently. Arsenal have had a decent little run in the games that he's been playing. I think they've only conceded 1 goal. Yes, you can point the finger at him maybe for the goal that was conceded, but on the large part, I think Kivior's done perfectly fine. So I think you'd probably stick with him for this game and make sure that Gabriel is 100% fit before bringing him back. So Timber, Saliba, Kivior, and then Lewis Skelly. I'm gonna go with midfield of Rice, Odegaard, and Merino again. Obviously, there's a chance. I think if he doesn't play if he plays Timber, I think he'll rest Thomas Partey, because then it just gives him an opportunity to rest one of those two. Because as I said, those two are going to have to be so carefully managed while Ben White and Tomiyasu are out, because they're Arsenal's only real options at right back. So I think you're going to see both of the minutes being managed a lot. One of them will play, one of them will be rested. I think today's the day that Timber will probably play, because he started on the bench in midweek and Partey started. I think it'll be the other way around today. So that's why I'm thinking a midfield will stick of Rice, Odegaard, Merino. Obviously, Jorginho does come into the mix, but I think he'll probably stick with the midfield that we saw in midweek. Saka on the right, obviously. I think he'll bring Kai Havertz back in as the central striker today, and I'm going with Trossard on the left rather than Martinelli. He likes to rotate. He's been doing that week in, week out recently when it comes to that left-hand side. Martinelli started midweek, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see Trossard start this one. I also wonder if we're starting to see a little bit of a Trossard plays when Havertz starts and Martinelli plays when Jesus starts. I wonder if that's starting to filter in. It's something to keep an eye on, I think, over the coming weeks. And obviously we've got the game, the Cup semi-final, Cup quarter-final, coming up in midweek as well, where there'll definitely be changes for that game. So this is my predicted 11 for tonight. Raya, Timber, Saliba, Kivior, Lewis Skelly, Rice, Odegaard, Marino, Saka, Havertz and Trossard. And this is what some of you guys have been saying ahead of the game today. CMOSS Sports World says, tend to agree with you, Charles. Lewis Skelly, Kivior, Marino really showing up well last match. Your 11 is Raya, Timber, Saliba, Gabriel, MLS, Rice, Marino, Odegaard, Saka, Martinelli and Havertz. John says, I agree with you. I agree with starting Lewis Skelly with Partey at the back. It wasn't one overlap down the right. No, there was one overlap against Fulham. It wasn't just Partey. It was on the other side as well. Only one overlap down the right-hand side of Partey and only one overlap down the left-hand side with Timber against Fulham. That's just not sustainable, I don't think, when it comes to the attack. Doesn't really work. And that's why I don't want to see it today. You say that's no good as it really limits Saka and what he can do and greatly reduces the number of crosses and corners we get on the right. In the absence of White, we need Timber on the right. At least get some crosses and overlaps in. That's a miles better setup. I see what you've done there, John. Very good. Then there's the one below says Partey is coming in as a 6 tomorrow. Timber will be right back. MLS at left back. Our best midfield is Partey, Marino and Odegaard, contrary to popular belief. Henry says, hi, Charles. I back your opinion to start MLS at left back, Timber at right back and to rest Partey. We have a very able backup in Jorginho, and I don't understand why Arteta doesn't give him more minutes. I'm not sure Jorginho will play today. Dan says, I'll be extremely disappointed if we don't see MLS start against Everton. Partey can be on the bench for this one. I'd like to see 2 left-footers start in MLS and Marino so we can get the ball forward quickly down that side. We can blow Everton away in the first 30 minutes if we play properly. That would be nice. Tata says, coming straight from Mikel's presser, with Gabriel, the only injured player coming back, my team for Everton would be Raya, Timber, Saliba, Gabriel, Kivior. So Kivior at left back in your team. Odegaard, Rice, Marino, Saka, Havertz, Trossard. I agree with you. The Partey will be rested as he's our backup right back right now. Kivior over MLS at left back because I think Lewis Skelly will start there against Palace in the quarter-final. That is a good point. Owen says, hi, Charles. Great video as always. Thank you. Starting team for Everton game would be Raya, Timber, Saliba, Gabriel if he's back. And MLS, Rice, Marino, Odegaard, Saka, Havertz, Martinelli. Hoping we can have some players back soon as a bit weary of all the games Timber is playing. Maybe Partey to come in at right back. Second half, like you said. You then say thoughts on Marino so far. I think he'd look good. Tad gassed out now. And then from the tempo, yeah. I think he's a work in progress, Marino, isn't he? I thought there were some good bits and I thought there was some not so good bits in midweek. But overall, it was a positive performance, I thought, for him. And it'd be good to see him get a sort of run of minutes going forward. And finally here from Aurora Freak says, I would go with Raya, Timber, Saliba, Kivior, and then Gabriel or Kivior or Gabriel and then MLS at left back. Rice, Marino, Saka, Odegaard, Martinelli and Havertz. This would be the best balanced team now, even with the midfield. I know MLS was sometimes shaky in defence, but that's the risk I would take. Thanks for the great content, Charles. Thank you very much for that, Aurora Freak. So that's what some of you guys have been saying ahead of the game today. We haven't got too much longer to wait to find out what Mikel Arteta does. Just a few hours to go now until the big game at the Emirates. And finally, before I go, let me just get the quote up here to make sure I get it right. Thomas Tuchel over at the World Cup qualifying draw yesterday was speaking to reporters over in Zurich for that draw. Pretty easy looking draw that for England. I have to say he's lucked out with that one. And he was asked about Ben White and the potential of Ben White returning to the England fold. And Tuchel said, I will reach out to him. It should be a clean start and a clear narrative. Then says, I'll be in the stadiums from January. I'll not distract the players. They should just know, okay, the boss is there from January. So Tuchel will be getting in touch with Ben White. Interesting to see what sort of response he will get from Ben White. I think he'll definitely be much more open to returning to England now that Southgate and Holland are not in the sort of leading the coaching party anymore. I don't think it's absolutely a foregone conclusion that he'll just decide to go back. We all know the sort of character of Ben White and how he likes to switch off when he's away from football. And he might think, you know what, during international breaks, I'd rather put my feet up and enjoy some time with my family rather than go and play for England. We'll have to wait and see on that. But Tuchel saying he will be reaching out to the Arsenal defender, who of course is injured at the moment. So, but I don't think the next England squad is announced till March. So you would hope, fingers crossed anyway, that Ben White will be back long before that. And that's it from me this morning. Thank you very much for watching it and for listening. As always, like I said, I'm heading to the Emirates in, well, I was going to say in a minute, in a couple of hours, once I've taken my kids to football. And then I will be doing live match updates from the press box a little bit later on today. So if you can't watch the game and you're following it on social media, you can do it on mine across my various channels. Till then, have a great Saturday, everyone. Speak to you soon. Enjoy the game later. Bye-bye.